All right, we welcome in our sixth and final group of bowl game specialists, Andrew Olmstead. How do you like that title, by the way? Is this a good one?
Yeah.
Group of bowl game specialist, Andrew Olmstead. Put that in your resume.
General specialist.
General specialist. All right, let's start out with the GoDaddy.com Bowl, Miami, Ohio, Middle Tennessee State. Miami, Ohio with a great year. Middle Tennessee State, kind of scratch your head wondering what they're doing here.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of what I asked myself looking at this. But like you said, Miami of Ohio with a great year. The best turnaround story in college football this year. They were 1-11 last season. Now they're 9-4, the MAC champions, just coming in off a pretty impressive win in the MAC championship game against Northern Illinois, who was a pretty decent team and actually cracked into the top 25 at one point. So I like Miami of Ohio in this one.
All right, let's move on to the Cotton Bowl. LSU, Texas A&M. This is probably the best non-BCS game.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. To me, this is the best non-BCS game. LSU, a very good team, obviously. Texas A&M as well. I like Texas A&M in this one. I think they've really shown the propensity over the last few weeks to really to really win football games in any way that you can think of.
Right.
They got off to a rocky start. They've turned it around. They pulled quarterback Jared Johnson, who was very hyped at the beginning of the year. People thought he could even be a dark horse Heisman contender, but just really didn't deliver for them. They've gone with the new quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, and he's just really lit it up for them.
Right.
And to me, the game that's really telling here is that LSU comes in with a very good defense, but Texas A&M played outstanding against the recent team that has a very good defense as well, Nebraska.
Right.
And they won this one in a close game, 9-6. And I think that's very similar to what they're going to see here with LSU, and I think they're going to get it done.
Yeah, LSU, the 90th overall offense, and then Texas A&M shut down Taylor Martinez and the Cornhuskers, so very good point. All right, let's move on to the Compass Bowl, Kentucky and Pitt. Very exciting game, Andrew. So much more exciting than Cotton Bowl.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is just a barn burner right here. I mean, both of these teams are very good at basketball, not so much at football.
Right.
You know, this game has been kind of a roller coaster here leading into it. Originally, I was thinking maybe Kentucky could get it done. They do have a pretty explosive offense, but in the last week or so, their starting quarterback Mike Hartline was arrested for public intoxication and misconduct, and will most likely not be playing in this game. He will be suspended, and that's just really a crippling blow for this Kentucky Wildcats team going up against a Pitt Panthers that play very solid defense to begin with.
Deion Lewis, a very good running back for Pitt, has not had nearly as good sophomore season as he did last year as a freshman, and then Dave Wannstedt fired at Pitt, so there's a lot of uncertainty.
A lot of turmoil there, but Kentucky doesn't have the pieces it needs to be successful in this game.
All right, and then finally for your group, Andrew, the Fight Hunger Bowl, Nevada and Boston College. Nevada with their Colin Kaepernick, huge win over Boise State, obviously. That's their season-defining win. And then Boston College coming out of the ACC, the mess that is always the ACC.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Nevada's coming into this game white hot after that win over Boise State. I really like Nevada. They put up so many points, very explosive offense. Although Boston College does play good defense, I just don't see them having the weapons to hang with Nevada. A good stat here is Boston College has not won a game in which an opponent has scored over 20 points, and Nevada has never scored less than 21 points this season. I don't see either of those trends breaking, and I think Nevada takes this one pretty easily.
All right, thanks a lot, Andrew. That wraps up the group number 6 expert and all 6 of our experts. Now let's take a look at the picks of myself, Adam, David, and Scott. All right, group 6 guys conspicuously missing the Gator Bowl. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, let's talk about these games. First, the GoDaddy.com Bowl, Miami, Ohio, Middle Tennessee State. And as I mentioned, I did watch some Middle Tennessee State. It was not simulating when they played Minnesota right at the beginning of the year. Everyone agrees that MAC champ Miami, Ohio is going to win this one. And what a great story, right? 1 win all the way up to 10+ this year. Well, we're predicting 10+. Mm-hmm. This is a really great story for the football team from Oxford, Miami, Ohio.
Oxford, Ohio.
Oxford, Ohio. Oxford, Miami, Ohio. That's not confusing at all. Did you know, though, that Miami, Ohio is where Miami, Florida gets its names from? Like, Miami, Florida was named after Miami, Ohio, which is just
weird.
Let's talk about the Cotton Bowl, guys. So this is probably the best non-BCS game, most anticipated at least. LSU, Texas A&M on January 7th. I went with Texas A&M in a close one, as did you, Scott. Why do you think Texas A&M is going to pull this off over Les Miles? Isn't he just going to eat all the grass and no one will be able to play anyway?
That's a possibility. Texas A&M has won 6 consecutive games after they switched quarterbacks to Ryan Tannehill, and he has just been tearing it up. They average 280 passing yards a game, and they've beaten Oklahoma and Nebraska in this stretch. They're playing fantastic football right now. I'm very excited about this matchup. LSU's had a great season as well, but I think Texas A&M is really playing great football right now, and their body of work may not look as good just because they had the first half of the year, but if you look at what they've done since they switched to Ryan Tannehill, they're a very, very difficult team to beat, and I don't think LSU will be able to do it.
All right, David, you go with Les Miles and the Tigers.
I do, and it's a very tough pick. This game's a toss-up. I go with the Tigers because they have the 9th best scoring defense in the nation, led by Patrick Peterson, of course. And then A&M, you look at their team, they're 0-3 against SEC opponents the last 2 seasons. Even though LSU's not as well-rounded of a team, of course, they have that terrible offense that seems to be unable to score on anyone. I just like the fact that LSU has such a great defense. Also, they've only lost 2 games all season, and that's to 2 BCS opponents in Auburn and also to Arkansas. So that's why I think LSU is going to get this game.
Yeah, you seem very anxious to get on this conversation, Adam.
I mean, David kind of stole my thunder right there with LSU. 8th-ranked defense in the country overall. Jordan Jefferson has kind of taken over that starting role and has played very well. And there's just kind of that magic about LSU that goes with them, too. They've played very well and have arguably the most dynamic defensive player in the country in Patrick Patterson, able to take over a ball game very quickly.
LSU, that offense you speak of, Adam, 90th in the country, and Texas A&M even shut down Taylor Martinez in Nebraska.
T-money.
So that's why I went with Texas A&M. All right, the BBVA Compass Bowl, of course, the one I've been waiting for all year, the BBVA Compass Bowl. Where did this game come from? What did it used to be called? I don't even know. Is this a new one?
I think so.
I have no idea.
Yeah, anyway, no one cares. Kentucky, Pitt, no one cares about this game either. 2 struggling teams. Dave Wanstedt, very interesting how the story was that he resigned, but it turns out that he was fired. I don't know. Apparently he's got some friends at NFL, at the ESPN that covered him when he was in the NFL or something that tried to put a positive spin on that. But anyway, everyone agrees that Pitt's going to win this one. Kentucky's starting quarterback, Hartline, suspended for public intoxication. He's not going to play in this game. Not much doubt in this one, at least from our perspective. Big East over SEC. And finally, the best sponsorship of any bowl game, the Fight Hunger Bowl. So as you're gorging yourself on whatever food, what is this, January 9th? I guess you're probably starving yourself because you already ate so much over the holidays. You can fight hunger by watching the Fight Hunger Bowl. Nevada and Boston College. Boston College, just another ACC also-ran, which is like saying an also-ran of the also-rans. Nevada, though, Kaepernick, first name,
Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick. And that pistol offense, of course, beating Boise State at the end of the year. We all agree that Nevada is going to represent the WAC well and knock down Pitt.
And my notes, Colin Kaepernick is my boy.
All right, you'll have to inform him about that because I'm not sure he knows yet. But we'll get him on the phone and confirm that during this next commercial break. Coming back on the other side, the thing you've probably been waiting for the whole time, both Michigan and BCS picks. Stay tuned.
And your mother was begging Barack to stop.
Hey guys, how's it going? Are you ready for the show?
Of course I am, you knucklehead. Who do you think I am? I'm Sir Charles Barkley.
I don't know. Look at yourself before you pass judgment. Okay.
David, I was promised 8 pounds of turkey in exchange for appearing on Varsity Blue. Where is my turkey? That is my question.
But have you guys even thought about if Rich should get fired or not this year?
What are you saying? Is it true? Sure. Indeed. Yes. 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 I mean it this time.
No, David, I will not answer your question until you give me the turkey that I was promised in exchange for appearing on the show. I cannot think until I get my turkey. We are Varsity Blues. If I had one word to describe Varsity Blue, it would definitely not be terrible, you knucklehead. Alexander Prasad.
Welcome back to Varsity Blue. On to the BCS games. Just us, because our opinions are the only opinions that matter. Alex Prasad, Adam Brewster, David Nows, Scott Wagner. We're going to go in chronological order, and we start with Adam.
The granddaddy of them all. The Rose Bowl.
You're right, the Rose Bowl. Your voice is like 1/100th the awesomeness of Keith Jackson's. I just wanted you to know that.
One day.
One day when you grow up to be Keith Jackson. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. Okay, TCU, Wisconsin. Interesting game. Scott, you are the only one that went with TCU. Someone's going to say size matters, and it does. But why TCU?
Gosh, this will be a very interesting game. You're going to have to let me look down my notes here. Some terrifying stats from TCU. They average a win by 32 points a game. Average opponent point per game, 11. In a 6-game stretch, they averaged 4. TCU's defense is incredible. Obviously, Wisconsin, pretty good offense themselves. They averaged 43 points a game. They rushed for 250 yards. John Clay hadn't even played in most of them. He'll be back for the Rose Bowl. It is going to be interesting. I just think TCU's defense is very solid and going to have strength against strength. I think TCU is going to be able to some extent neutralize Wisconsin's running attack, and it's going to come down to whether Scott Tolzien can beat a team with his arm, and I don't think he's going to do that. I think Andy Dalton, the quarterback for TCU, very experienced. TCU will be able to put up just enough points to be able to beat the Wisconsin Badgers.
Brewster's not convinced, but David, you first. The Wisconsin offensive line outweighs the TCU defensive line by an average of 55 pounds.
They absolutely do, and that's a huge advantage for Wisconsin. When you look at two teams that are both very talented, other factors matter. Size matters. Playing very good competition week in and week out matters. Also having those multiple threats on offense matters. I think that all of these factors go in favor of the Badgers. You have that three-headed monster in the backfield for Wisconsin. I think they're going to be able to run all over this defense. Even though TCU has a very good defense, it's just very difficult to stop fresh legs coming at you. Play in and play out. And that's why I think Wisconsin's going to win a close game. I think it'll be, fairly competitive, but I think Wisconsin's going to have the fresh legs. They're going to be bigger and stronger, and that's why I think the Badgers will win.
All right, well, David set the bar high, Adam, because he only talked about things that matter. So don't talk about uniforms or Nike Pro Combat uniforms or, anything else. But why was Wisco in this one?
Well, you mentioned...
I couldn't even go make it through that. That was ridiculous.
You did mention that Wisconsin's offensive line outweighs TCU's defensive line. The average statistics, Wisconsin's offensive line, 6'6.5", 317 pounds. In comparison, TCU's defensive line, 6'2", 260 pounds. I saw the Wisconsin offensive line from the field standing right in front of me. They will be able to bowl over those TCU defensive linemen, and the triple-headed monsters David Nows mentioned, Ball, White, and Clay will have a field day. Wisconsin will roll.
You rhymed right there. That was nice.
I didn't even know that.
All right.
He's a poet and he didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
good job,
cliche.
David. All right. Let's go on to the Fiesta Bowl now. Oklahoma and, drum roll please, UConn. Yes, they're in the BCS Bowl, an 8-4 team in the BCS. Scott, this is just like the Capital One Bowl. Is Oklahoma going to win by 50 or 80?
You can't lose to Michigan by 20, Temple by 14, and Louisville by 26 and expect to contend with a Big 12 power like Oklahoma. UConn, sure, they won their final 5 games to get into this bowl. You got to give them credit for that. But Oklahoma's looked very good the past 2 weeks, beating Oklahoma State to get into the BCS to the Big 12 championship and then beating Nebraska. The spread's 17.5. Honestly, I think I'd take the over with Oklahoma. This is not going to be a very entertaining football game.
All right, David, anything to add to that?
Not really. I mean, you watch this team play Michigan, and Denard Robinson obviously ran all over them. When you have 2 huge threats in Landry Jones and then also DeMarco Murray, I think that's just going to be even worse. Both of them are going to have a field day. Oklahoma's going to put up, 5, 6, maybe even 700 yards of total offense. I don't think UConn stands much of a chance.